Hello BookTube, Sarah here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with another author spotlight video, and today we're going to be talking about Sherryl Woods. Sherryl Woods, along with Susan Mallory and Susan Wiggs, are, in my opinion, the holy trinity of romance novel authors. I say that not in any sort of religious context, of course, but as that they were the first three mainstream contemporary romance authors that I read way back when I started reading contemporary romance. These three ladies have very similar styles. Their series, they do a lot of series, and they're all basically very similar in the aspect that they take place in a small town or centered around a family. They really, really are. All three of them are wonderful authors, and, you know, they're pretty much three authors that any of their books that I pick up, I will be absolutely happy with. And as per usual in my author spotlight video, I'm going to talk about three different books by this author, by Sherryl Woods. Now I've got the Susans in my head. By Sherryl Woods, that are, I would say, the ones that you should start with, if you will. And going from, these are all favorites, but from, you know, the one that I liked to the ones that I really liked. So Sherryl Woods is a New York Times best-selling author. She, like a lot of romance novel authors, got her start writing for category romance for Silhouette. She wrote a lot for the special edition series, or category, if you will. And she's very prolific. She's written a number of novels. And I was putting together this list of these three books, and my problem was that I was focusing a lot on one series. And I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit more of a broader scope. So I actually did a search on this author's, like, pretty much backlist. And I was looking at some of the stuff, and she's only written a couple standalone novels. So I want to preference that most of her stuff is series work, but it's still absolutely wonderful. So to start off with, I want to talk about a book called Three Down the Aisle. And this is the first book in the Rose Cottage Sisters series. And this was originally published as a Silhouette special edition novel. I did check on Amazon before I recorded this video, and all these books, there's 4 books in this series, they are all now republished for the Kindle with different covers. So if you're looking for this cover, this is the one that was put out originally with Silhouette Special Edition. The new covers I don't think are as pretty, but that's my opinion. If you don't read on the Kindle and you're looking to find the mass market paperback version, probably guaranteed Thrift Books is going to have it. Or you can always check the Amazon Marketplace too. So this is a series about a group of sisters, 4 sisters I believe, who inherit their grandmother's cottage. And, you know, there's kind of, you know, of course the romance aspect, they fall in love. And the first one is about a woman who falls in love with a man who's got a young daughter, and how the three of them become family. And it's a wonderful, wonderful series, and I highly recommend it. This was a really great book. The second book that I want to talk about is The Inn at Eagle Point. This is the very first book in the Chesapeake Shores series, and not to be confused with the Lakeshore Chronicles series by Susan Wiggs. I always want to call them like the same thing. They always kind of get melded into my mind together because of the fact that they both take place around the same area. Sherryl Woods, most of her books take place in and around the Chesapeake Bay area. You know, like in that summery coastal town kind of area, and it's wonderful. So this series follows a family in this town, and the first book is about a woman named Abby, if I remember her name correctly, and she comes back to town to help her sister, who is trying to open up this inn. And the sister's kind of flighty and kind of, you know, whatever, and Abby, you know, has, you know, very strong roots, and she went to school for business, and, you know, she'll be a really great asset to her sister. But when she comes back to town, she meets back up with her ex-boyfriend, and she is now a divorced woman with with a set of twin girls, and yeah, so the story goes from there. So the entire series kind of follows this family, and in the later books, the twins that are like 8 or 10 in that first book end up getting their own stories later down the line, which I will admit is a little odd when you're used to like little kids and then they grow up, but the growing up takes place maybe over a course of 5 years in our time. But of course, a lot more time passes in the books. The whole background for this family is that the parents divorced when the kids were young. And I think that there are, if I remember correctly, again, it's been a little while since I've read this book, there are 4 siblings, I think 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And Abby's the oldest, and the divorce pretty much happened, and then the mom took off, and the kids very, very rarely ever saw her again. So another one of the books that comes up in this series is the actual parents kind of reuniting, which is really nice. It's a Christmas book. And it's not very long. It's like a novella, but I actually got it on hardcover because it was beautifully done. I don't have it in front of me to show you guys, or else I would. But yeah, it's a really, really great family series. A really interesting plot premise. And, you know, the grandmother comes over from, I want to say she's from Ireland. Yeah, because it's the O'Briens. Their last name is the O'Briens. She comes over from Ireland to help the dad raise the kids because he's been left with the children, which isn't typically what you see. Usually it's the mom who has the kids. So, you know, that's kind of nice. And you get a lot of the backstory of what it was like for them growing up and what have you. So really, really great series. And the last book I want to talk about, like I said, is probably my favorite one by her. And it was so funny because until this morning, I completely forgot she even wrote this book. And it's a favorite. Isn't that sad? When you read a lot of books and then you see it and go, oh my gosh, yes, I totally remember that book. So, like I said, I was going through her backlist, and she's only written about 3 or 4 standalone novels. But this is one of them, and this is probably one of the first, if not the first book by her that I ever read. And it's called Flamingo Diner, and the reason I had picked it up, this came out in 2002 originally. And I had grabbed it, I think, used, at a used bookstore, but the cover got to me. I mean, it's bright pink. You can't miss it. Again, this is one that has been reissued on the Kindle. It does have a different cover, which, again, makes me sad because this cover is just so awesome, but I guess it's probably dated. And this is a story about a woman whose father passes away, and she goes back to I think it was their Carolina hometown, and to run the family diner, the Flamingo Diner. And, of course, runs into her high school flame, who is now the chief of police, which is always the way it happens in romance novels, right? And so they, of course, spark up a relationship, and it goes from there. Like I said, this was the first book by her I ever read, and it is still by far my favorite. Coming in very, very close in second place is The Inn at Eagle Point, just because that is such a great series, and it's a great start to the series. But really, I do recommend checking out Flamingo Diner. Again, it's dated perhaps a little bit because it was published in 2002, but it's still a really, really fun read. And the great thing about contemporary romance is it doesn't matter when it took place. It's still relevant, or you know what I mean? And I loved it. So yeah. So anyway, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below if you've read any books by Sherryl Woods, which were your favorites, and which ones might you be interested in checking out. And as per usual, I will have links in the down bar or in the description box below where you can find me on social media, as well as links to all the books that I talked about. Until my next video, guys, take care and happy reading. Bye.